Affairs and the Subcommittee on Health Benefits and Administrative Rules will come to order. Without objection, the Chair is authorized to declare a recess at any time. I will now recognize myself for my opening statement. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP, offers assistance to millions of Americans who cannot afford nutritional food for themselves and their families. The Food Nutrition Service, known as FNS, administers the program in partnership with state agencies, but nearly all funding comes from the federal government. In 2017, SNAP provided almost $70 billion in benefits to over 42 million Americans in need, more than half of whom were children and elderly. Efficient and effective program administration is critical for a program that size, for an expenditure that size, and a program that is that important. To this end, the subcommittees are holding this hearing to examine fraud in SNAP, which can take a variety of forms. Fraud can consist of SNAP recipients providing misinformation about eligibility requirements, such as income and the number of household members. For example, in Wisconsin, a woman was charged with hiding income from a live-in boyfriend to fraudulently collect more than $25,000 in benefits. Fraud can also consist of SNAP retailers lying about meeting authorization requirements. For example, the USDA Inspector General found about 3,400 retailers applied for SNAP authorization using the Social Security numbers of deceased people, allowing them to fraudulently redeem about $2.6 million in benefits. SNAP recipients and retailers can also commit fraud by trafficking SNAP benefits, a crime that involves exchanging SNAP benefits for anything other than eligible food, usually cash. For example, in my home state of Alabama, our grocer trafficked more than $5.2 million in SNAP benefits. Today, we may hear how SNAP fraud is not extensive, but the truth is, FNS does not actually know how common fraud is because it is not appropriately measured. The USDA Inspector General reported in 2012 FNS has not established how states could compile, track, and report fraud in a uniform manner. Even today, the federal government still cannot fully grasp the scope and frequency of fraud in the program. However, we can use other sources to obtain a sense of scale. In 2016, state investigation data identified almost $600 million in recipient fraud. Further, FNS data shows SNAP retailers traffic about $1 billion in benefits every year. That's $1.6 billion combined. In addition, some state agencies are contributing to fraud by manipulating SNAP's national payment error rate, the nationwide measure of improper payments, an issue this committee has worked on to expose and hopefully resolve. This includes FNS providing state agencies with bonuses for having low error rates and penalizing those with high ones. In 2017, state agencies in Virginia, Wisconsin, and Alaska admitted to False Claims Act violations for fraudulently reporting low error rates to exploit this bonus system, agreeing to repay the $16 million of bonuses they fraudulently claimed. Despite these obvious signs of abuse, FNS has not followed through on common sense steps to reduce fraud. For example, FNS has not followed through on their own proposed rules to tighten requirements related to retailer trafficking. Similarly, FNS has not followed through on the USDA Inspector General's 2013 recommendations to close loopholes, allowing retailers who traffic SNAP benefits to remain active. FNS has proposed weaker alternatives instead. Also, FNS has ignored the Government Accountability Office's 2016 recommendation to help states improve data matching processes to detect potential fraud and improper payments. In contrast, state agencies are actively responding to the need to fight fraud. In 2016, state prosecutions increased 14% to over 9,000 cases, and administrative disqualifications increased 23% to over 49,000 cases. I believe the states can offer insight into ways in which FNS can assist states in fighting fraud, as well as ways FNS can make its own fight against SNAP fraud more effective. Make no mistake, our fellow Americans deserve help in times of need, but fraud takes this assistance straight out of the hands of those who need it. Fortunately, we have with us today a panel that can speak to the role of Congress can play in the prevention of further fraud through the SNAP program. I thank the witnesses for being here, and I will now recognize the ranking member of the Mr. Christopher Morphy. for his opening statement. The
Thank you.
healthcare benefit